Life of the Okie, Lucy Fulton
and Vandy Robinson.
Okie is a term applied to agricultural worker who immigrated to California from the Dust Bowl region during the 1930s because of drought, debt, and unemployment. Although many of them came from Oklahoma, others came from Texas, Arkansas, or Missouri. An important factor in understanding the migration of the Okies is first understanding where they originated from, the Dust Bowl region. During the 1930s, the land that the Okies lived and farmed on turned into an uninhabitable wasteland, now known as the Dust Bowl. The increase in farming in the 1920s had exhausted the topsoil of the farmlands of the South and Midwest. Then, in the 1930s, a drought hit the Great Plains, and dust storms ruined farms, leaving the Okies in disaster.
So the central question for this lesson is, was life in Oklahoma a better environment for the Okies? And the thesis is, moving to California was initially difficult for the Okies in terms of hard work and starting their lives over, although in the long run, moving to California would turn out to be beneficial to involving Okie.
Because of the damage the Dust Bowl left behind, the Okies were desperate for jobs and tired of struggling to make a living on their dying farms. Okies turned to bulletins sent by California farmers, promising farm work opportunities in the Golden State. 300,000 Okies set off for California in search of work and to achieve their American dream. When they arrived in California, many realized they had to abandon their farming roots to survive in the new environment.
In California, the Okies proved themselves to a vigorous work ethic in their daily struggle to make money. They worked and traveled in families harvesting crops familiar to them, cotton, potatoes, and peas. Many Okies worked 16 hours a day and 7 days a week, making barely enough to support themselves and their family.
They had to accustom themselves to a new range of crops and new ethnic structures in their jobs. California used immigrant ethnic minorities for its farm labor, which included Chinese, Japanese, and Mexicans, who were thought to be well suited for stoop labor, which was hard labor required to plant, cultivate, and harvest crops. Except for harvesting cotton, potatoes, and peas, Okies were seldom hired for field work. Okies did ladder work, aka fruit picking, which they had little experience in.
Where did the Okies stay? When the Okies first arrived in California, they lived in ditch camps set up by farmers in the ditches beside the roads. The ditches were unsanitary and often swamped in mud and water, much like the trenches in World War I. In 1936, the Farm Security Administration, a New Deal program, began to construct 12 camps in the San Joaquin Valley for migrant Okie families. Each camp was held 2,000 to 3,000 people, cost about $1 a week, and had hot showers, flush toilets, breakfast for children for 1 cent a day, and 1 year maximum occupancy rule.
Another part of the Okie experience was discrimination. Farmers who hired Okies were often cruel. When farms produced more food than could be picked or sold, instead of allowing the starving Okies have some of the surplus, farmers burned it to make Okies move on. Some hospitals would not treat Okies or their children, and in many schools, Okie students were ignored or harassed by teachers. Overall, Okies were viewed with such suspicion that they were even associated with communist spies.
As a result of the migrant farm, Okies shared cultural pasts in the Dust Bowl and mutual experiences in the work, and new California Okie culture was created, combining the new with the old. The new migrant Okie culture was a reflection of the new Okies. They were determined, classless, and tough new culture.
The new Okie combined their old roots of farming and new experiences of ladder work to become a more successful generation. The newer generation of Okies, with the help of the Farm Security Administration, moved into better housing units and over time were accepted as members of their new state, California.